and today I'm going to be sharing with you all about how to use Notion. Now, I didn't find a lot of videos kind of talking all about the different features, so I thought I'd make one to send to people when I'm like, you should use Notion. Here's the video to kind of explore. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all about the different options that you have for setting up different pages, how the page layers work when it comes to subpages. We're going to talk about all the things that you can do with tables, the different views, as well as the other things you can add. So in addition to tables, what else can you add inside of Notion, including dropdowns, table of contents, and then also inside of tables, how to do things like relational databases, linked databases. I have learned so much over the last couple months and feel like I'm at a point where I finally feel like I'm an expert at Notion and can actually teach it, and I feel like I know exactly what I'm talking about. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm kind of going to walk through how I use Notion, how Notion works, and if you're interested in switching to Notion, why I like it so much and what it has compared to some of the other platforms. So let's just get started. Okay, so I wanted to start here at my command center, which is where I do everything for my Notion setup. I have done all this through August Bradley's PPV system. So I wanted to share a little bit more. So, over here on the left, this is kind of really important to look at, is kind of the setup where you can see you can actually have different, almost like boards, I guess they call them, pages. But you'll see here on the command center that each time there's a little link here, you'll show up here, and then the drop down, you'll see all the different pages within that. So right here, if it has a little arrow pointing right, that means it's a linked database. It says that right here. So the actual database is this one. So if I clicked into this, you'll see it pop up over here. But if I go back, and then from here, you'll see, all the different sections. Again, linked database, linked database. So it shows everything that's on that page. So if I go back, you'll see here, this is not a linked page like this one is with the little arrow. So if I clicked here, this would actually link back to the actual page, which is down here. And then that actually links to the actual pillar page or the vault page, which is somewhere else. I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere. But basically, that's not the actual page right here. It's just a link to it. So if you're coming from just this page, these aren't where you house the actual thing. It's actually just like a link to it. So I do that for some, and then for others, I link them. So that's an important thing to note, is that you can either link a page. So in order to do that, all you do is you click the little plus sign. Now, I've started learning how to do some of the shortcuts, which is where you click the forward arrow, and then you search for, you just type in link. Well, actually, it should just pop up, and then it'll say link. So link to page. So that's an option. That's how you make the little link. I will show you guys how to do link database soon, which is this thing right here. I'll show you guys how to do that. But basically that's, or you can start a new page. So if you just click that, you'll just click page. So then this creates a new page. Now, this is an important step. This is kind of how you start off anything. You would obviously title it. So I would call it like test page. And then you can obviously add your icon, your cover, or a comment. I usually don't add a comment, but I add usually an icon, and you can have a bunch. You can also upload your own or add a link to it. So I try to stick with the ones that are in the system. It's just easier, so I could just click this. And then if you wanted to add a cover, what's cool is you can actually add your own. So you can either upload an image, which I do for a lot of mine. Otherwise, usually I just look and I go to Unsplash and just type something in. So let's do this for now. So this is how you would set up your page just to get started. So there's some options. So you can start empty with icon, empty. They do have templates, which are really cool. So if you click on that, they do have a ton of templates. I don't use these as much as I probably should. I've made a lot of my own things. One of the things you can also do is click import. This is really helpful if you're coming from something like Airtable. I actually moved almost all of my Airtable tables in by doing the CSV import. Unfortunately, the main thing that I wasn't able to do was import all the images, so I had to individually do that, which took a very, very long time. So if you are coming from Airtable or even one of these, you can actually import all of your tables already, which is really helpful. You can also import things like Google Docs. So if you already have things and documents already, it's really helpful. But there's some other options. So these are databases. So the nice thing about Notion is you can either build a database or you can just put notes. So that's kind of the two things that you can do. So if I were to click on table, this is what would pop up. Now it's very, very simple. You have a name, which you have to have. And then their first option is like a tag. You can get rid of this if you want. You do have to have at least the name section. And then you can add whatever you want. So I kind of want to go through this. So you can have text, which is just information, so like notes. A number, this can usually work if it's come from money, that kind of thing. A single select is different than multi-select. So this, you only are allowed to pick one. Multi-select allows you to pick several. So this is good if you have like, if something's in multiple categories. A date, this is helpful if you're doing anything like due dates or, date that something's being published, that kind of thing. Or a date in the past that it was published. A person, this is great if you have a team. I don't currently have a team, so I don't use this one. You can upload files and media in a table, but I don't usually do that. I usually do that more in like a page setting. This is helpful for like filtering with checkboxes. Is it done? Is it not done? Is this part of something? Is it not part of something? A URL was great if you're linking to like a YouTube channel or maybe even a social media account. Email, that's if someone has an email address, and then phone. So that's kind of the main things that you can set up for the tables. And so I think I've used all of these before. So they're definitely super helpful, but there's some more advanced one that you can use as well. Formulas can help you in many ways. I've only used a couple formulas, and they're mostly for people that have actually shown me how to use them. If I clicked formula, you'll see, let's see if I can click here, and you click edit formula. There's a bunch of options. Again, I'm not an expert on this. I'd recommend checking out some other people on YouTube if you're looking for more formula help. But there's some other things that you might not know about. So one of them is relation. This is something that took me a while to figure out how it works, but it's super, super helpful. So if you click relation, you can click and relate to another database. So I could relate to, let me just think of an example. So this is my current stock of food. And so now I can rename it. So I would rename it food. And then what I could do is you can actually see all the different options. So if I clicked on oregano, it has now tagged that. You can tag multiple options. Let's just do orange. So now you'll see that I can link them. Now when I go into orange, if I click over to that, you'll see that I have related to, I believe it's one of these. So now you'll see, it's not that one. It's probably this one, test page. So now, because I haven't named the page or I haven't named this, so if I change this to testing, and I click into orange, you'll see that it shows up right here, testing. So basically it's a way to like link two pages together, and you can actually have as many as you can see I have multiple relations. It's actually a lot easier than you think, and it just really helps you know exactly, and I can show you guys some examples of that, but that's really the main way to set up a regular database table, but there's a bunch of different views you can do as well. So if I click onto board, this might not be helpful because I don't have any groups. Let me do test 1. You can obviously change the name, test 2. And then if you move something over, it's now tagged with that. So you can actually sort it almost like Trello, and it's called a Kanban board. But if you have multiple different types of things, you can group by those. So let me give you an example. I'm trying to think of a good one. Let's see. So if I go back to action zone, if I go back to here, if I go to, let's go to here. Okay, so if I have my, here we go. So I have hair products. You'll see they're in a board view right now. I have, all of them have a single select company called Garnier. It's in stock, the kind of hair product it is. If I needed a link to buy, I could put the Target link. I could put the product type if I wanted to. I would probably put hair. I don't even know if I use this one anymore. And then what room is it in the house? It's actually in the bathroom. You can check this if you're running low. And then I would probably put like Target. And then what tag? I'm going to put data knowledge base tag. So that's kind of how I do it. And then you can see I actually uploaded the cover up here. And so if I were to, I could actually go over here and click on group by, and then it would change it to, I could, change it to company. So all these don't have companies, but this one's Garnier. So I could just drag and drop that into Garnier, which I know I have. Let's see, where's Garnier? Right here. So now it's in Garnier. So it's like, easy to figure out. You could also do something called gallery view, which is really cool, where you can see it this way. I don't know. Oh, I wonder. And so one thing you can choose in the properties is if you want the card preview to be the page cover or the page content. Now, I've recently decided all of my pages are going to have a cover that's the main image. I don't want any of the images to be inside of it. So that's something that I made a big mistake on when I first started Notion, was I would actually bring in an image as like an attachment, and that was not good because I wanted other content in that area. So I have now moved all of my documents to have the page cover be the image. So that's something to note if you want to do it this way. So you can choose that way. You can also, under properties, select what you want to show in that view. If you want to show the company, want to show in stock, etc., you can choose to turn things on and off. Some of the other views include calendar, list, gallery, and timeline. Timeline's good if you're doing like a big project. I don't use that one like ever because I don't do things that way, but I probably should. Roadmap or calendar is something that if you want to do, and I do this a ton in my content calendar, it's really helpful. List is great if you want it to be like just like so if I click list and I created that, it would just be a list of everything. No template or no table type. But I usually just like to do either this one or board. Sometimes I do gallery. Depends on what it is, but for this specific one, I usually try to do board, and I sort it by, or group it by maybe the kind or product type. There you go. So another thing you could do in here is you can filter. So filtering is so important. It's something I didn't realize how important it is. So you can actually add either a filter or filter group, which basically when you filter something, you can choose where if it's, maybe where if it's in stock is check or is not checked. So now you can see what's not in stock. So right now this is in stock. So every time you check it, it'll go away because it's filtered to the not in stock. This is helpful if you ever wanted to make a new table, which if I go back to that example, I can show you guys. So if we go back to the test page and I go back to here, so what's cool about this, so right now, because I'm on a page, I can't add anything to it because I made this specific page into a like a table only page, which you can't add any additional things. I can't go down here and click plus. So how I would do that is I would actually make another page, call it test 2, and then I would actually go right here. I would turn it into a sub page, and then I would drag and drop. So now you'll see I have here, there's a couple options. You can turn this into an inline, which means that it's like you can see the full thing. And then down here is now where you can add additional content. So you could put like a to-do list. You could put an image. So if I wanted to, I could put, I was screenshotting this earlier. I now have an image. One of the things I use a lot is PDF. So if I wanted to, I could find a PDF. It has to be under 5 megabytes. I use a website called ilovepdfs or something.com, and it makes my PDF smaller. I'll show you guys an example of that. So if I go into my, I think it's in here, might be in here. No, I don't think it is. It's, I never know where things are sometimes. So if I go into projects database, and I go into, this is actually some classes that I'm taking right now. So if you go into one of them, you'll see I use the Dropdown, and then I added an actual PDF for me to look at. This is great if you are part of an online class, or if you are doing your own online classes. You can actually embed PDFs, videos, so like a YouTube video. This is super, super helpful. Let's go back to the test page. So now you can see that on this test page, if I click into here and click open as page, you'll go now into just this page that we created earlier. But because we wanted to have multiple things on a page, I had to move it into basically another level back, added now this, and I can move this if I wanted to. And then I've added things like a photo, I could add a PDF. Let's kind of go through some of the other things that you can add. So one thing you could also add is you could make a heading and call it like test page. And then what you can do above it is you would type table of contents. Now a table of contents will only work if you use a heading. So if I wanted this to be like an example, I would have to move this here. Let's see, example. So you see how it won't show up on the table of contents, but if I change this to a heading, it will. There you go. So now you'll see it's right up here. So this is a great way if you have a really long page and you want to jump to something, it's really helpful. What I usually like to do, and it's something that I really like to start doing, is I start to do the toggle list. So I would call this test page, and it's toggled down. I would drag and drop this in and then close it. I do this for almost everything now because it kind of keeps it so that it's able to be read. So I'll give you guys an example. So I'm reading a book right now, and it's called, let's see, I can search for it because it's filtered. It is called Your Best Year Ever. So if I open it up, you'll see that I've started taking notes about each chapter. And this is something that I have now started doing is I can have toggles within toggles within toggles. So this is actually really cool. So you'll see how I have all these here. So, I realized, okay, so I accidentally did this wrong. I need to move this out of here. So I'm going to move that here. And then this one here. So now you'll see, it should work. Let's see if this works. There we go. So now I have toggles amongst toggles amongst toggles. So that's kind of how you can make toggles. If I go back to the test, I just want to show you guys more things you can do. So if I go over here, text is basically just text. Page is where you can actually add a subpage inside, and you can always turn any text into a page just by highlighting it. So if I highlighted this right here, you can either, so usually when you can make it a link, so an actual hyperlink. These are obviously just like the main links, but one of the things you could do is you could click turn into page, new subpage. These are also other things you could do. You could turn it into like a bullet list, so I could change that to a bullet. You could basically change anything into whatever you want. But another thing that you could add is you could add like a quote, divider, so that divides the blocks, a link to another page. So if I wanted to link to like pillars, now that's linked there. But one of the coolest things that I really like to do is I like to link databases. So if I go back to that book page, let's go back to the book vault. You'll see right here, I have the main vault and it's filtered to be status is not read. But if you scroll down, I actually have a linked database to the same database, but it's filtered so that it's books that I have read. So they're the same exact database, but these show the books that I have to read and these are the books I've already read. So in order to do that, all you do is you click here and type in like linked database. You select the database that you want. So I typed in books, I think it's called Books Red Vault. Let's just click into that. Then it will make the entire database with no view. This is where you could then filter and sort. So you could add a filter group. So it could be where the format is library. So you could just select library books. So it's just really cool. You can filter it however you want, where it's just Kindle, and it'll save it. It'll save that filter as long as you don't touch it. So now right here, I have all of the Kindle books that I wanted to read. So this is helpful if you want to see different views. This is really helpful on the content creation pipeline. You'll see almost all of these are linked databases with filters based off of the statuses. So for example, this content ideas, content production pipeline, that kind of thing. This is exactly how it goes. So kind of summing everything up, Notion is a database system where you can either have tables, you could also take notes and add layers within layers. You could add things like subpages. You could even create things like relational databases. Make sure to check out some of my other videos because I kind of explained more about some of the different content ideas, but I wanted to make this video to show you guys kind of how to set it up. Let me know what else you want to see. This is kind of quickly running through all the different things that you could do on Notion. I didn't even get to like how to share your pages and utilize the API. That's kind of more advanced and something that's kind of new to the system. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll talk to you soon.